Billy Batson Capitão Marvel, DCAU. Captain Marvel, real name Billy Batson, was a cheerful and helpful superhero who protected Fawcett City, and a former member of the Justice League. Billy Batson, while still attending elementary school, became a member of the Justice League through his superhero identity Captain Marvel. History. Billy Batson was a young boy who, by saying the magic word SHAZAM, became the powerful and popular crime fighter Captain Marvel. Still coming into his own as a young superhero, Billy would strive to follow the example of his favorite hero, Superman. To his credit, Captain Marvel quickly became respected and admired, both in his home of Fawcett City and beyond. He was eventually extended an invitation to join the expanded Justice League. Billy believed in fair play, taking people at their word and giving them the benefit of the doubt, an optimistic viewpoint that very often borders on naivete, but then, he's still in grade school. He attended C.C. Binder Elementary School and was frequently late due to superhero duties. Known adventures. Billy's youthful chattiness and cheerful outlook led to a misinterpreted public endorsement of Lex Luthor's candidacy for the President of the United States of America. This immediately brought him a stern reprimand from the League, and Superman in particular. Though impressed by Marvel's powers, Superman was rubbed the wrong way and visibly irritated by Billy's seemingly simplistic sense of right and wrong, though Batman liked Marvel's spirit, calling him Sonny. During a groundbreaking ceremony to commemorate Lexer City, Luthor's high-tech low-income housing complex of the future, Superman detected what he believed to be a destructive device far below the grounds. Despite Luthor's assurances that the machine was harmless, Superman ordered an evacuation and attempted to shut it down, but was opposed by Captain Marvel. In an uncharacteristic act of frustration and anger, Superman attacked him. The battle destroyed much of Lexer City, and ended when Marvel attempted to harm Superman with his magical thunderbolt one time too many. Once Superman managed to turn the tables on Captain Marvel by causing him to be struck by his own lightning, the subsequent charge reverted him back into Billy Batson, and Superman was able to gag Billy, preventing him from changing back and destroy the device. However, Superman's accusation was proven false by the Atom, which publicly embarrassed him. His humiliation was further compounded when Luthor took the loss in stride before television cameras, and offered to reconstruct Lexer City out of his own pocket. Naturally, the entire situation had been purposely created by Luthor and Amanda Waller to discredit the Justice League. In fact, it had gone even better than they planned thanks to Captain Marvel. After the Lexer City debacle, a disillusioned Captain Marvel called a meeting of the founding members. Captain Marvel asserted his right to state his opinion and then launched into a brief speech about the recent events. After finishing his remarks, he quit the Justice League because he felt that the League was sinking to their enemies' level and that they no longer acted like heroes. Background information. Captain Marvel was originally a character created by C.C. Beck of Fawcett Comics to compete directly with DC's Superman comics. Marvel debuted in Was Comics No. 2 in 1939. The character proved to be so popular that sales eventually exceeded that of the Superman comics, and in fact at one time Captain Marvel's books were the best-selling comics in the world, with monthly sales in the millions at his peak. Captain Marvel was also one of the very first comic book superheroes to be depicted in the movies. However, DC claimed the character was too similar to Superman and launched a successful legal action against Fawcett that resulted in Captain Marvel's comics being cancelled. In the mid-1970s, however, DC reintroduced the character, who subsequently was also featured in a popular live-action Saturday morning series entitled SHAZAM. Captain Marvel was imbued with the powers of several historical and mythical figures. Solomon, wisdom. Hercules, strength. Atlas, stamina. Zeus, power. Achilles, courage. Mercury, speed. It is presumed that Captain Marvel's DCAU origin at least resembles that of the comics version. Orphan Billy Batson is led to a strange underground cavern by a bizarre-looking subway train. There he meets the wizard SHAZAM, who grants Billy the power to fight for justice as Captain Marvel, simply by speaking the wizard's name. Legal trivia. By the time DC reintroduced Captain Marvel to the comic world in the 1970s, not only had the name Marvel been usurped by DC's major publishing rival, but Marvel Comics had also introduced its own character by the name Captain Marvel. For obvious legal reasons, therefore, DC could not use the Captain Marvel name on any comic book title. As a result, almost every DC book featuring the Fawcett Marvels has instead been published with the word SHAZAM somewhere in the title, starting with the initial mid-70s title that reintroduced the character, SHAZAM, as well as other titles such as Superman vs. SHAZAM, The Power of SHAZAM and the SHAZAM Family. This has had an interesting side effect, since the character's appearance is well known to the general public, and since the name Captain Marvel is so rarely used to label the character, many people, if not most, believe that the superhero's actual name is indeed SHAZAM. In 2011, DC decided to use its reboot to make that name change official. Before JLU. There were at least 2 reported instances where Captain Marvel was meant to appear on the DCAU. The first one was during the Superman, the animated series run. We really did want to do the Captain Marvel/Superman fight, and, since we're not going to be doing any more Superman episodes, that doesn't seem likely to happen. That's one that I'll kinda miss doing. Bruce Timm, Comicology magazine. The other one was on Hereafter, to replace a seemingly dead Superman. At that time, the rights to Captain Marvel weren't available to us, so we couldn't do that. Somehow that story got mixed up with Hereafter, and somebody, I can't remember who, said, if we can't have Captain Marvel replace Superman, who would be the best person to replace him? Well, it couldn't be anybody obvious that people would suspect, and we came up with Lobo. Within 5 minutes, we had that whole story plotted out, everything just fell into place. Bruce Timm, Retrovision CD-ROM magazine. Although Captain Marvel never appeared on screen until Clash, someone who looks like the slightly older Billy Batson makes a cameo appearance in the New Superman Adventures episode Obsession. He is among the reporters covering the fashion show early in the episode. Powers and abilities. Billy Batson, an average 10-year-old student in his secret identity, took the, approximately, 30-year-old superhuman form of Captain Marvel by speaking a magic word, SHAZAM. This brought a mystical thunderbolt from the sky, which transformed him into Captain Marvel and later back into Billy. Marvel possessed a very high level of superhuman strength and was generally invulnerable. He could move and fly at incredible speeds, and had godlike stamina. His powers were a general match for Superman's, minus super hearing, heat vision and X-ray vision. In his battle with Superman, Captain Marvel demonstrated that the two are approximately equal in terms of physical abilities, although Superman actually seemed to have the upper hand for most of the fight. Towards the end of the battle, Captain Marvel is shown holding his left arm as though it were injured, while Superman appears uninjured. Captain Marvel was also tiring noticeably at the end, and Superman also seemed to land more blows during the course of the fight. He could also use the magical thunderbolt as a weapon by saying Shazam and then moving his target into the thunderbolt's path. This tactic allowed him to burn Superman twice before Marvel was twisted into the path of a third bolt, instantly ending the conflict by changing him back into Billy Batson. Captain Marvel's invulnerability seemed to be just short of Superman's. However, unlike Superman, Marvel was vulnerable to only the most powerful of magic-based attacks, which are Superman's secondary weakness, after kryptonite. His only known weakness was to attack him in his normal form and prevent him from saying Shazam. Powers. Divine empowerment, all of the powers granted collection of 6 by gods and figures of legend either directly or through Shazam. Accelerated healing. Clairvoyance, the ability to understand situations from many angles, including future and past consequences with superhuman clarity and accuracy. Divine grace, innate luck and divine guidance that allows finesse in actions and dealings with others. Eidetic memory. Magic resistance. Enhanced intellect and wisdom are heightened to superhuman levels. This also provides great or comprehensive knowledge in many areas, including language, tactics of war, flight, the ability to hover or soar at high speed through an act of sheer will, healing, the ability to use the transformative lightning to heal others or oneself instantly, indomitable will, an incredible amount of willpower that allows perseverance in overwhelming odds and seemingly unbeatable situations. Invulnerability. Self-sustenance, the ability to survive without sleep, food, water, or air. Superhuman speed, the ability to run or fly at incredible rates of speed. Superhuman reflexes. Superhuman agility. Superhuman stamina. Superhuman strength. Teleportation, the ability to access the Rock of Eternity. Transformation, the ability to transform from a mortal to the entity empowered by the 6. Abilities. Journalism. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.